everyone, it's the EnglishSimmer here, and I don't know whether you should be thanking me or smiting me for cursing you all, because over the weekend I uploaded a video. It pertained to the hot update that was coming for The Sims 4, and I basically had assumed that would be the Caliente refresh, so I was like, hey, what would I do if I was redesigning these Calientes with just base game only? And it feels like the Sims team watched that video and decided to do everything that I didn't suggest. We are going to be checking out the brand new SDX drop, which obviously included the Caliente refresh, but it also included some Jewish food items, which can I just straight up say, big thank you to Hufflepom. Hufflepom has basically over on Twitter been tweeting for 400 plus consecutive days about wanting Jewish representation when it comes to foods within The Sims 4, and we finally have them. Dedication gets you there, kids. Just to give you a little refresh in your mind of what they were wearing and also what they used to look like before we actually take a look at the updated version. Then we have the cheese hair Dina Caliente with her bright green eyes. Keep that in mind. And then she actually wears a lot of green, and I never really noticed, and I feel like they tried to hold on to that when it came to the refresh. Then we had Nina, who in my opinion definitely needed the refresh the most, I feel. Nina and Dina and Don are all from The Sims 2, and so they all kind of have these canons within The Sims, and yes, The Sims 4 is meant to be an alternate universe. It's not meant to be representative of old Sims games. The lore doesn't really carry over all that much, minus Don being a Lothario and wanting to romance everybody and their mother, quite literally. But don't worry, lore doesn't play a part in this refresh anyway, which is one of my main criticisms of these refreshes. But let's talk about how they look now in everyone's game. If you downloaded this SDX drop and you start a new save from this point going forward, this is what your Caliente household is gonna look like. Katrina obviously has never been in a Sims game before, so therefore they kind of had a blank canvas with her. They didn't really have anything that they needed to follow in my brain, at least, and they did tend to keep her outfits, I feel, at least this one, pretty similar. I like to think that this is a little necklace that she was given as like a family heirloom once upon a time. They actually did change her hair color from her box dye like bright red to the ginger, which honestly I would have kept it the box dye red. I think it is so Katrina Caliente that she just like stands in the bathroom and does it herself. They did actually change one of her traits too. She used to be hot-headed, romantic, and family-oriented. However, they got rid of the hot-headed and added in jealous. Obviously, she is meant to be romancing Don. Do imagine her being pretty jealous of like everyone that Don flirts with. I will say I'm not a massive fan of like the likes and dislikes that they added in too. Like she likes orange and yellow, which just feels so random to me. She likes pop music and romance, which is fine. And then for her hobbies and skills, she likes comedy, piano, and fitness. Fitness I see, piano I also kind of see. Comedy seems random, but she dislikes cooking, fishing, and gardening, and that pretty much goes for like I think all three of Nina, Dina, and Katrina. I don't know if they're meant to be like family traits that they just like don't like being outdoors or doing like household chores, but I definitely wouldn't have chosen all of them for everything. And then also I'm fairly sure these three all like mixology, which again, like that's such a random thing to have as a hobby. Don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people like a drink, but I don't think they all need to like mixology. Just to show you her outfits, honestly, I don't mind this at all, which is definitely, I feel, gonna be an unpopular opinion. I do think that she would get quite dressed up in her formal, but she is wearing a lot of bright colors. I'm also not a huge fan of this outfit just because I feel like this would have honestly suited like maybe Dina or Nina a little bit better rather than Katrina. I honestly kind of wish that they had either stuck to, I'm fairly sure she had like the lingerie on, which I sort of love that, or they had given her something else. This is her formal, honestly not the worst, would have just changed the shoes to a red. Do not like this. I definitely don't think Katrina would leave sun cream on her face to be visible. I don't know why, she just doesn't give me that vibe whatsoever. And then I understand that sometimes she dresses like slightly younger skewing, and I feel like she does have that energy. Like she has 2 grown-up daughters, and yet sometimes it definitely feels like she's trying to be like the cool mum, which I like, but I also wouldn't have chosen to give her this as her hot weather. Although I do like the leopard print on her cold weather, I do think she is a leopard print girly. And then what I did is took the made over Sims and just did a couple of differences that I would potentially do. So I added a bunch of different likes and dislikes. I feel like they could do that even if you don't have the packs that have, for example, growing together with like conversation topics and Sims characteristics. I still wish they added them in for the people who did have the packs, because I'm fairly sure it would work that if you only had base game installed, you would still only see the base game stuff and you wouldn't be losing out on anything. But then if you do have the additional packs, then they still have like the things that relate to it. I also made her dislike mischief, because I can imagine these two like really were mischievous when they were younger. Nina and Dina definitely watched The Parent Trap like once and made it their whole personality for about 5 years, because they're actually twins. And maybe that's when Dina decided to dye her hair blonde, because she was like, Mum can never ever mix us up if we look completely different, which is also why I always might think I wanna turn Katrina into like Meredith Blake. But these are just kind of outfits I threw together. I feel she is such a divisive character. One, because we don't really know her outside of The Sims 4, and I feel like some people always dress her up, some people dress her down. Sometimes she has the momager essence about her, other times she is standing in the bathroom dyeing her hair box dye red. So, you know, it's up to you. I love her facial features. I quite like her refresh. Yes, I'm not a massive fan of base game hairstyles or really her clothes choices, but that's just personal preference. Then this is EA's version of Dina Caliente. You know how I said that they really tried to hold on to the green theme that she had going on? She likes black and green. Although I have to give them their due, the Sims team fixed her personality for me. I really like the fact that it seems as if they've gone back to like The Sims 3 and The Sims 2 and like, no, you know what? We did her so wrong in the initial Sims 4. So they actually changed her lifetime aspiration. She used to want to be a master mixologist, and now she actually wants to be fabulously wealthy, which makes sense. She obviously married Mortimer Goth in The Sims 2. She was like, Cassandra, you're gonna steal Don Lothario away from me? Okay, I will steal your whole family inheritance and I will marry your father and you can call me stepmommy. Thank you very much. Which, honestly, girl boss gaslight gatekeep. She also used to be ambitious, romantic, and athletic. They actually removed athletic and now she is materialistic, which again suggests that money is one of the most important things to her. Not a massive fan of the hair. So glad that the cheese hair has been laid to rest. Let's be real. I definitely would have given her her classic bob. And then clothing in general, I really like the formal wear, you see, and I kind of just wish that they had stuck to like the black theming. Again, party wear, yes. She is coming for Bella Goth. She is wearing the Bella Goth original dress and she is pulling it off so well. I just don't know where the lime green came from. Like, honestly, why does her swimwear look so similar to her hot weather fit? And then why is this also lime green? When did Dina Caliente start liking lime green? Is this like a piece of ultimate Sims lore that I'm actually missing? Just make everything black, which is what I did in my version. I have to say, their skin tones are definitely darker in this version than they were in the original version. Finally feels like they do resemble their Sims 2 characters a bit more, but I definitely would have given her her classic hair. I gave her the julep heap hairstyle before we actually had this, which I really like the updated textures. Honestly, base game hairs in general. I feel like they need a refresh more than the townies do at this point, especially if we're not getting lore drops and stuff. I initially had this on her, but I really like the jeweler peep. I realized that black skirts in base game are horrific, so excuse the like yellowy gold. It's a head nod to the cheese hair, you know. I wanted to make her sleepwear a lot cuter because I feel like they did her dirty on that front. Didn't change her party wear though. Switched up her swimwear a little bit. Again, got rid of the god-awful lime green and still wanted a pop of color on her. This is her hot weather, which I do think she would wear. The booty shorts. They're not everyone's favorites. They're low-waisted, but I feel as if the Calientes are trapped in the 2000s. It actually feels like there's a really weird mix. Like, I feel for some of the EA outfits, they were like, we need to update them. Like, it's 2023. Let's invigorate, like, the future into them. Whereas others, they were like, no, let's hold on to, like, their 2000 values. Which, speaking of 2000s, I forgot to mention, in my version, I did actually add on, at least in her everyday wear, I added back the pink concealer lips because she's not Dina Caliente without the pink concealer lips. EA's version of Nina, honestly, I'm not gonna fault them on this one. She's absolutely the best thing to come from this townie makeover. Didn't even look like herself, like had no rep of Dina Caliente whatsoever. I really, really like this townie version of her. I genuinely think she's gorgeous. I think like her facial structure, everything about her is so nice, minus the eye color and the base game hair. They also tried to pull in the black and the pink that she used to wear in the older games. I did actually switch her up a little bit. I gave her a new hairstyle because again, I way prefer the texture of this. And then I kind of gave her more of her classic look. She wore trainers a lot in The Sims 2 and I really like that about her. The outfits that I updated them to are kind of like taking the EA ones and just sort of making them look a little bit better, in my opinion. I just feel as if these two need to be a bit more stylish. This was my party wear, for example. This is where the feeling trapped in the 2000s I think really hits her. The pink leopard print is a look and it is definitely like a standout, but would I have put it on her when her mum wears it? Probably not. I feel like Nina would be like, no, mum wears leopard print, so I'm definitely not going to. And then this is just like too much 2000s. This was taking me back to times of like groovy chick. I hate an animal print at the best of times. I gave her this and I think my style for her rather than the EA's version kind of ties in to who she is as a character in past Sims games. I know I keep hammering on about it, but this kind of ties into her traits, which is why I want to talk about it. So she used to be romantic, lazy and hot-headed, which I'm so glad they removed lazy. They got rid of lazy for non-committal. They did actually make her a villainous Valentine, which again, I don't really agree on. So if we go to my version, she's actually a genius and I would probably change this to a knowledge aspiration, either nerd brain or Renaissance sim. And that's because in like all the past games, she's really been the brains of the twins. Like that's been her ambition in life, is to like become a doctor. I feel as if every single side hustle that these twins have ever done have all been like Nina's little brainchilds, and I do think she's really smart. I think she's a grafter. I think she wants money, but she wants that by like reaching the top of her career, and she's a business lady first and foremost. So I actually decided to show that off in her personality, and I kind of wish the team had lent into that a little bit more. That also means I gave her a bunch of activity interests. It said that she loved, like, I think it was bread and butter pudding or something along that nature. So I made her like cooking and baking. I said absolutely not to disliking the household chores. She loves handiness because, again, it kind of like ties in with like programming. I made her like rocket science. She already liked video gaming, so I feel like they had a hint of that nerdiness there. And then the Sims version of Don Lothario. I honestly don't mind the way that Don looks. I honestly probably would change his facial features a little bit. Really just his eyes, honestly. I would give him like more sultry eyes. Like I feel as if he romances people with his eyes. So maybe even just like something like that. And then obviously I would turn them into the piercing green that The Sims 4 just absolutely said no to. They were like, you're all gonna have the same color eyes and it's gonna be mud green and you're gonna be thankful for it. They didn't change anything about Don's personality, which is fair and valid. They did, in fact, elevate his style a little bit more, which I am glad about. I've said this before, but he always dressed suave in past Sims games, and he definitely had that like style of like, I know that I am good looking and like I want you to know that I'm good looking. He probably smells good, but probably has far too much aftershave on, and I feel like his style represents that. Some of them go a little bit too formal for me, especially his like party wear. Don't tell me that Don is going out drinking with his boys wearing something like this. Like, I get it for a date, but I feel like this is more his formal wear rather than this like bow tie moment that we have going on. And then his party wear should be a little bit more relaxed. And also, I firmly believe that Don Lothario is a gold wearer. I think all of his jewelry should have been gold, so I took it upon myself to sort of make him over the way that I would have. I would have given him this spiky hair just because I prefer it. I think the other one slightly just makes him look a bit too mature, whereas this one, he still has like the boyish looks to him. I just love his classic like brown shirt that he wears, so I gave that back to him and then made his formal a little less stressed down. I cannot believe they put grey tracksuits on him. I know everyone loves a grey tracksuit moment, but these were literally right here, or even the one with the little kiss on the bum. Like, Don Lothario is wandering around the house wearing these. I dressed his party wear down an awful lot. He is the guy on Love Island who wears white skinny jeans. It is once again a sin to not give him budgie smugglers. Also, he does have the new facial hair on, which I really like. It's very defined around the mustache. I think it looks good. We actually don't have one that looks like this. We have sort of like this one, and then we do have like full beards. We have these ones, which this is obviously like a heavier version, then you have the slightly thinner version, but now you have one that looks a little bit more manicured, and I guess a little bit more in between like stubble and actual beard moment. So I'm actually a really big fan. Don Lothario serving. I really love his nose. I honestly probably would have just changed his facial structure more to make him look more like his Sims 2 version. Enough about the Calientes though. I feel like I've talked so much about them. We are gonna go try and cook. I have no idea what level these new recipes are, so they may not show up straight away. Excuse how much I am scratching my nose. My hay fever is apparently on fire today. The challah is obviously not tied to get to work, like the baking. It is just cooking. I kind of wish they'd just add bake to base game and then just update everything that needs baking and shove it over into that category, and then have everything that needs to be cooked just being cooked. Challah is a type of bread often baked for Jewish celebrations such as Shabbat. Typically, challah is prepared in a way that's pareve in. It doesn't combine dairy products with egg. The bread loaves are braided and on a Rosh Hashanah are often presented in a round turban form. On Shabbat, 2 loaves of challah are covered with a cloth that can be rather elaborately embroidered or decorated, and Kiddush blessings are recited before the bread is sliced and eaten. Depending on the occasion, challah may be served sprinkled with salt or with honey, and in some cultures, raisins, dates, or other ingredients may even be added. No matter how you slice it, this rich and eggy bread is a delicious treat that helps unite people all around the world. Oh my word, that is quite literally making my mouth water. That sounds so good. Matzo ball soup isn't just a staple at Pesach celebrations. It's also the food your Bubba or Zadie might make for you when you're feeling a little under the weather as a cure-all. This recipe for matzo ball soup has roots in Ashkenazi Jewish cooking in Eastern Europe and is a type of chicken soup with large dumplings. Oh, I love dumplings. Made of matzah meal and eggs. The broth has what's known as schmaltz chicken fat. Matzah on its own is a flatbread served at Pesach, when Jews refrain from eating leavened bread or the duration of the holiday as celebration of their escape from the enslavement in Egypt. And then the challah loaves are actually just in decorative. They cost 100 simoleons. These rich loaves of braided bread are resting and waiting to be enjoyed. Save them for a community or family gathering, or devour them all by yourself with some delicious salts, jams, or honey. They actually look the same as the one that you can make, but obviously they do have the cloth over them, which you can actually change the design of if you want to. And then, oh, cute. I love those patterns. And then this is what the matzo ball soup looks like. It looks so good. So there we have it. The first SDX drop of the year of 2023. Why was that so hard for me to say or even think of the words? Mixed feelings about the Calientes. Honestly, I think they look better than the ones that we had. I don't think everyone is gonna think that, but I actually more so like the personality changes. Obviously, none of their relationships have changed, which is just a slap in the face, really. I kind of expected more than just like an actual refresh of the way that Sims looks. I really expected the lore to be shown off within like the relationship panel. Like, I mean, the Calientes even have a little story about them in their family bio of like the drama that's happening, and yet none of that is really represented. Like, Don and Katrina, I'm fairly sure, aren't even in a relationship with each other. Boom. No relationship whatsoever between her and Don. They are just acquaintances. However, she is actually friends with Dina and Nina, but that's just because they're family and that's just the way The Sims 4 works. And they also don't know anyone else, which I really would have thought that, you know, like Dina had a slight relationship with Mortimer Goth. And I just think there's so much more could be done when it comes to these refreshes. These Dons are currently the Spider-Man meme, just like they're all just looking at each other like, you're me and I'm you, but you're not me and I'm not you. But I would love to know what you lot think of this SDX drop. Let me know how you're feeling about the Calientes. But yeah, if you want to download my version of them, feel free. They'll be up on my gallery. Definitely let me know what you all think about this. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.